It's your cold open.
That's Mark Ingram with the carries and the touchdowns and the win. And when you look at how the Saints disassembled that Bills defense, that was wild. Mark Ingram had 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had $106 and a touchdown. Drew Brees only had to throw for 184 yards, and the Saints put up 47 points. The New Orleans Saints, to me, right now, are the favorites in the NFC. And that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy because the Rams are still playing really well. The Vikings are very solid. The Eagles have the best record in football, but here's why. Because the Saints' defense is totally legit, and the Saints' ground attack is their strength, meaning that Drew Brees is not even the most important piece of the puzzle for the Saints, whereas all those other teams that I mentioned are very reliant on their quarterback to win those games. I realize in Minnesota their defense is solid, but Case Keenum also had to have a huge day yesterday to win. That really was an offensive win. It really was an offensive win by the Vikings. Their defense didn't really play all that great. In L.A., they've got Aaron Donald. They've got a great front seven, but their success runs through their passing offense. They need to be aggressive, and as much as I love Todd Gurley, Jared Goff to Robert Woods yesterday, you've seen in the air the way that they've attacked defenses has to be through the air for them to be the aggressor. Same thing with Philadelphia. Again, good, balanced team, good defense, now have suffered some injuries, but Wentz is the guy that makes that whole thing go. In New Orleans, it's the opposite. They don't need Drew Brees to do anything, but they have Drew Brees, where in Minnesota, they need Case Keenum to do stuff, and they've got Case Keenum. Imagine Drew Brees, a Hall of Fame quarterback, is the third most important piece of the puzzle for your team's success. It's a great combination. And one thing, if you watched the game yesterday, which was so impressive, was that the Saints' offensive line not only held blocks, opened up holes, but moved the entire defensive line back 3 or 4 yards. They came out, Pistons charging. And I know it is a pass league. Pass first, pass second, pass third, and that's what fans love. Raise your hand if you're with me. Watching the Saints run the football is as exciting as watching other teams throw the football. Maybe that's just a little old school in me. Maybe this is the first sign that I'm really becoming an old man. But I love watching the Saints run the football. The same way I love watching the Cowboys run it with Ezekiel Elliott. Because we have such a league tilted to the pass that when you see a team that can really line up and just grind you, pound you, sledgehammer you to death, it's a thing of beauty. And the Saints were blowing off of the football, and Kamara and Ingram were 3 or 4 yards downfield before they were being touched by the first line of defense, and they charged through those holes, and they get such a blast coming through the offensive line with that offensive line themselves. It is an incredible thing to watch. I do believe the Saints right now are incredibly well-suited to go to a Super Bowl, and about 2 weeks ago, I didn't believe that. 3 weeks ago, I definitely didn't believe that. This team is not the Saints. They're playing like an NFC North or an AFC North-esque team, and those are the types of teams that have made the Super Bowl or at least deep playoff runs.